DJ Event Planner will change the way you manage and run your business. Streamline all of your procedures and software into one easy-to-manage system. DJ Event Planner, the ultimate online planning tool.
All right, we are finally with you tonight. Sorry for the confusion and mess up, and we were going to have it over in this part of the wing, and then of course that didn't work, so we had to go to this part of the wing, and now we're here. Yay! Tonight, joining us.
Rooms. It's so good to have so many rooms. Right?
It is. It worked. Otherwise, we were headed to Facebook. That's our next. This didn't work. Tonight, joining me, of course, we have Dan and we have MJ, and we are also being joined live from Las Vegas. We've got Casey and Tony. Good evening, gentlemen.
Hello.
Good evening.
So, for those of you who have been hiding under a rock the last few days, you have probably been unaware that there's a major DJ convention going on in Las Vegas this week. The Mobile Beat, yeah, what?
We still call it major, for real.
It's true. It's true.
We still call it major.
You know, it's
Popular, maybe.
one of the biggest. I mean, it's like the second largest one in the U.S.
Really? You consider it second?
Well, it's not first. Expo's bigger.
I'm
It's
messing.
true. What would be third?
I'm messing.
Arms.
Arm DJ or Midwest DJ Live. I mean, those are the next two.
And there's that place where over in Ohio when a couple of DJs get together and have dinner. That's pretty big.
Yeah, that's your. we kind of after you got Expo with its a few thousand, and you got Mobile Beat that's going to get about 1,000, and after that it kind of just goes down quickly as far as not
50.
in quality but numbers wise. Yeah.
Well, I just spoke at the Canadian DJ Expo, and sadly their numbers could have been a lot larger as well. Unbelievably nice people, great experience. Doug Scott and Ryan Silver are the best, but I know they were disappointed with their numbers as well. I only spoke to probably 50 people in each of my two sessions, one on Friday, one on Saturday, and it's disappointing because everybody that was there loved it, and they're unbelievably nice people, but that's the challenge with DJ shows right now.
Precisely, and I've even seen this, and we're going to go off on a tangent. Casey, you and I have talked about this before, but some of the shows, even down at, I've just been to covering some local shows here in Minneapolis that are outside of the entertainment industry, and they're talking numbers of attendees are down on these shows, and it's like, well, wait a second, the economy's coming back, and this is coming back, and this is coming back. Why are people not coming out to trade shows?
Well, if you guys saw too on Facebook Idea Share today or yesterday, there again, it's showtime. So the big debate was, I don't have to go to a show. I can see all of the speakers on their blogs and their podcasts and their this and their that. I don't have to see Mitch Taylor. I can go live at 7:55 and I can listen to Joe Bunn and Mike Walters' podcast. But I'm going to say the same thing that I said in my response. You don't get the same motivation. Like going to see a live concert. You can watch it and you can appreciate it and even see different camera angles, even from a different. But in my opinion, I'm a show junkie. I've been going to them since the early 90s, and I get as much out of the conversations in the hallway over coffee, dinners, or what have you. And I don't think that the online presence, while convenient, while affordable, I don't think it gives you the same experience. And if you're truly enrolled in it, I think that you're going to walk away with a lot more being live at a show.
Well, I think it's one thing to see somebody on YouTube and on the internet, but it's another completely different thing when you can walk up to a Bill Herman or a Marcello and shake their hand and look into their eyes, and you just do get a different kind of energy when you're seeing these people face to face.
I'm not as young as the part I portray online, but I do agree a lot with the next generation of people on a lot of things, and it to me, even though I go to the shows because it's part of my job as a news person, and I'm an equipment junkie, I honestly don't think that highly of shows. And I've been to zillions of them. I used to tour as a vocal musician and went to different shows that have to do with that. I'm just as happy to watch something online, click off of it, and then go hang out with my friends. So I understand the next generation looking at this going, what's the big deal? Because a Bill Herman to a lot of DJs is just a guy. A Jason Jani is just another DJ. So I understand why the people aren't. It's not for everybody. The next generation doesn't value the things that we valued, and that's okay because it's just different.
Yeah, but at the same point in time, there's a lot of people that say Tiesto's just a DJ. He's just a guy with a computer. So, I mean, you can say there's a perception of everything. Robert Irvine is just a cook, but they're putting an entire expansion, an entire addition onto the Tropicana. The guy's 45 feet tall in the air, attached to the building. So I get it, but again, I can only share my preferences. And listen, I walk out of plenty of seminars shaking my head going, well, that's 35, 40 minutes I'm never going to get back again. But at the same point in time, I'll have an unbelievable conversation with somebody over a cup of coffee and go, okay, this trip was totally worth my time. So, and at the same point in time, while the industry technology has leveled off, going to DJ shows back in the day was a great way to find weird, obscure things that you just couldn't find online. Simple, stupid idea was the roll-up limbo stick.
Yeah.
I mean, they were great. And again, before music sharing, people swapped remixes and different things. And so you had that kind of Grateful Dead music mentality being swapped out with stuff. It's just different. And again, technology is changing that. But at the same point in time, there's something I can chat with you right now, Mike, but I know the conversation will be different if we were eating pizza and just talking about life and stuff.
As speaking with the next generation, how can I explain it? I watched a show one time where they were talking about the millennials, and the guy was talking about the millennials were sitting in a bar and they were all looking at their phones, and he's like, what are you guys doing? And he goes, we're going with dating apps. And they're like, well, I can show you a dating app right now. It's called a bar where people talk to each other. And
right.
This is where the next generation comes in, and I totally agreed with it. And the one girl goes, ooh, do you mean walk up to someone who's hanging out with their friends and interrupt them? No. And I agree with that. I'm that same way. There's a whole generation. I'm not cutting on the show. Go to the shows. I go to the shows. But it's, the future of it is limited because not as many people value that let's sit down and have a pizza thing, because it's just not, they would rather just get the information they need and go on and not have to hold a conversation with a stranger.
I think I even see that though when I'm working with teenagers, and I have teenagers in the house and their friends and such. You don't see the idea that, hey, when we were kids, it's like, hey, let's go out and we're going to go out to Hardee's for the evening and go and have a cheeseburger and hang out. They just don't do that. They don't engage the way we engage. Now, part of it's technology wasn't there,
Right.
but they're just totally comfortable, as MJ's saying, with looking and researching and doing all their things online, and they're good with that.
And that's fine. I think that's fine as part of life, but again, it also goes down to, you can watch the sun come up on the internet, or you can actually go to the ocean and see it, and you're going to have two very different experiences.
Oh yeah.
Again, half the time I could be having pizza with Mike talking about this, and then it goes off into a tangent about something else, and I realize he just gave me a new idea for using lighting, or a bridal show idea he had, or whatever. So
I'm not devaluing what you're saying. I'm not disagreeing with
I'm not
saying that with this next generation, to get them, we're going to have to change and not just say, oh, networking is a big part of the shows. Come out to the shows for networking, because that's not going to attract.
Actually, though, I read an article in Entrepreneur about how millennials want a dedicated networking area set up with lounge furniture and chairs and cab tables.
A networking room, not going out to dinner or talking to someone in a hallway. That's
And
uncomfortable
that's
to us.
one of the things, what do you call it? That's one of the things that Mobile Beat has implemented. It's not a lounge or anything fancy, but they have a separate room with tables so you can sit and chill and catch up with people and talk. And personally, I think it's a very necessary thing. It's one of my fears for DJ Times, being that they're going to be in the convention center, and then some people I talked to said, even though the Tropicana is the host hotel, I'm staying at the Sheraton because it's across the street. So I get the convenience, and then I get the fact that they're going to host all the parties at the Tropicana. But again, now you've got people split up all over the place, and it doesn't have that same cohesive feel. Now, Vegas, everyone's staying everywhere. A lot of people are staying at the Trop. I'm staying at the Hard Rock because I gamble here, and my casino host has got me hooked up. So I'm a happy guy. We'll see if I'm happy at the end of this trip. But that's up to the big man upstairs telling me that I did good or I did bad. So, but, so we'll see.
I think that's a great point. And one of the changes that we've seen with Las Vegas specifically is that early in the day, I think most of us stayed pretty much on site. I think back in the early times when we were at the Tropicana the first time, we were there and we stayed there. Now, I bet, I would say somewhere probably close to 40% of his attendees don't stay on site.
But here's the other thing. The 90s was like, in my opinion, the explosion of DJ shows. And it was also the explosion of interactive entertainment. So me enjoying that style of entertainment back in the day, I used to go to all of the sponsored parties because I wanted to learn the Macarena and the Electric Slide and the New This and Michael Joseph's Thriller Dance and Dan Carpenter's Walk Like an Egyptian Dance or whatever.
I want to see that one.
Now today,
you got to come to my expo.
There's a lot of great mixing DJs, but it's a whole bunch of dudes standing around a pool or in a ballroom. And, it's not for me. I also acknowledge I'm 20 years older. So, it's just not my cup of tea anymore. So that's all.
And you're getting to a great point. Tony, what have you guys seen in the hallway, age-wise? Because last year, one of the things that I really noticed is that there were more people, especially because it was a big year last year. Right. I felt younger last year.
Right.
There aren't.
Yeah, it was definitely a good mix of crowd there. Definitely saw a very, very healthy handful of older generation guys and gals, and I would say probably 75% guys. But there's a pretty healthy mix. Didn't see a tremendous amount of 20-ish, but I would still say there's definitely a good handful of I'd say a good 20% of them young 20-ish age people.
Yeah, I have a pretty good vibe about the younger crew, and I know that Jordan Newhouser's here with his company Boom Entertainment, which specializes in youth market, and he brought out a lot of his crew. So he's got his 20-something-year-olds here and his early 30-something-year-olds, and so I think that there's a mix. But again, there's the staples like Joe Martin, who spoke today about what do you do after DJing, and his whole thing about putting money away and retiring. And when I was in my 20s, I was like, I didn't care about that. I want to buy my next piece of gear, and and I wanted to go to the bar and do shots and everything else. So again, it's just what's relevant to you at this exact moment. So, I mean, even today, the keynoter, Marcello's talking about life, and no disrespect to any of the millennials, but does a 20-something-year-old want to listen to some guy who's saying, eat this, don't eat that, exercise, spend time with your family? Now, it fits for Marcello, and it fits for a lot of us that are in our 30s and 40s that have families. But if I'm a 20-something-year-old, it's like, okay, and this is no disrespect to Marcello, it's like there's a high school guidance counselor there telling me how I should be living my life someday. Like, you watched how well Zach from Saved by the Bell reacted to that great advice. And that's that. But listen, Marcello did a great job today. He was excellent. He had great examples. He did a really, really good job. I guess he sold out of all of his books. He had like 120 books, sold them all. So there were a lot of people that enjoyed what he had to say and wanted to learn more, so they bought his book from him. And he was the gracious author. He stayed there like the whole afternoon signing books for people, and that was that. So, it's like a buffet, and we've talked about this before. You're not going to like everything. Not like I don't know. I know that you don't do huge high school production, John. So would you sit in on Jordan Newhouser's high school production in the high school market, seminar? Probably not.
Yeah, probably not today, especially. Maybe 15 years ago, I probably would have. And not that I do the big production, but I would have looked for nuggets in that arena.
Right. And so, again, everybody comes and goes where they're comfortable. Now, here's what I'll say, focusing now around Mobile Beat. Social media-wise, everybody's talking about what a great time they're having, and I think a part of that is the reunion and seeing everybody, and I think that's natural, and that's just part of social media in 2017. Number two is the room is packed. It's absolutely packed. The stage is incredible. The production is fantastic. Really well lit. Stage is great. Jason Janai is pumping up the crowd with his incredible talents. Todd Mitchum's running around doing his thing. And so there's that. The one thing I did notice this year is there are no breaks. They are going literally, presenter 1 is done at 11:59 and presenter 2 is going on at 12. So Todd is saying blah blah blah, here's the next thing happening, and there isn't even like those 5 minutes to be changing classes in between high school periods like we were used to. So they're back to back. Mobile Beat is not giving people a reason to get up and stretch their legs, which I think
it was as cold as a fridge in there.
What's that?
It was as cold as a fridge. They're trying to keep us awake.
That could be too, but it's their production is good. And going back to it, Marcello again, he did a good job today. He captivated it. There were probably 800 plus people there in his room, and he had them laughing, he had them clapping, he had them applauding, and he did great. Forgive me, help me out, Tony. Who was in after Marcello? I don't have my app out.
Oh, you had to get me on that one.
I can't carry the whole show, Tony.
Rob Ferre. Was Rob Ferre next?
Rob Ferre
in the afternoon. Let me pull
Rob
up.
Ferre was.
We had Jason Weldon, Rob Ferre.
Jason Weldon.
Jason Weldon was last, actually. So let's go back. Register, celebrate life. Oh, Sonny Ganguly.
That's right. Wedding Wire.
Yeah, and now I was fortunate enough to be at Wedding MBA in October. He gave the same seminar, but totally new audience, and he was great. I mean, he gave useful, applicable things that you need to have in your website, why certain things in your website are important. It was all tech-orientated things, and he point blank said, this is what makes Wedding Wire function and makes them, a juggernaut. He said they have something like 100 million brides visiting them globally per year. So he's definitely the real deal. He gave really applicable, like a lot of people writing notes, but everything that he said was actually really, really solid. Talked about backing from influential people, talked about the importance of blogs and the right way to key word the blogs, and so that it didn't sound fake and what you wanted to do.
Yeah, I mean, he was moving along pretty quick. You almost have to email him to get the slides back from him because he had it was like drinking from a fire hose.
Well, and again, he went on from looks like 150, and then right after that was he went on, and then it looks like 5 Dysfunctions of a DJ by Rob Ferre, and so he he went right from one to the next to the next. And Sonny's a great presenter. He's a great guy. And I think that everybody who was there definitely walked away with, a lot of stuff to make a punch list of stuff they have to do. Tony, were you in that seminar?
Yeah, I was in Sonny's seminar. I was trying to write as fast as I could. It was very informative. Very informative.
Yeah.
And Rob Frey impacted me a lot too. His candidness and his truthfulness in his stories, telling us he didn't tell a lot of success stories. He told a lot of failure stories, and
He was
that was pretty impressive.
Yeah, he was very, very open and honest about it, because I'm sure that he's going to take a lot of heat from people going, "I can't believe he'd do that." But you know what? He's open. He's one of the nicest people in the world. He really is. And so he gave a lot of examples of mistakes he made and how he would handle them differently. So
absolutely.
So
I listened in on the EV show, the EV at the very end, the sound. The guys were talking about speaker placement and how to get the most out of your audio. Was a lot of good nuggets in there. How to analyze the data on the manufacturers when you go on there and they say, well, it's this many watts, this many dB. They taught us how to itemize out that and kind of how to sift through the BS. And when certain manufacturers are trying to blow sunshine up your skirt, that was pretty informational.
Right. I did not attend Joe Martin's "Why Work Until You Die? There Is a Better Way," so I can't speak. But for those of you that know Joe, he's been doing this since the turntable was invented, and he's one of the nicest guys in the world. So he did not bring Mona, his blow-up doll, date with him. If she's here, she's not made an appearance yet. Do you guys remember?
Yes, I do.
4 o'clock, creating autonomy, the initial steps to get the business to work for you, Jason Weldon. Tons and tons of information, no question about it. And I think that he talked over a lot of people, because Jason does have a very large scale business in Philadelphia, and he does production. So for him, I think workflow is extremely important, and how you're doing that is important. I don't know if it applied to so many people. I saw a lot of people kind of cutting it up during his seminar.
Yeah.
I think it wasn't necessarily applicable. He's a super, super smart guy. And again, even if I don't get a lot out of his seminar, going back to my conversation with Michael, is I've had numerous conversations with him in the hallway where, again, it's just gold. You know, there's just tons and tons of great stuff there.
I have a question.
Yep.
I heard rumors 3 weeks ago, give or take, or more.
Yeah.
A lot of the speakers this year are from some sort of think tank. They're all part of a grouping.
Okay, I can speak to this because I started the group.
Yep. You're getting in his own.
You're definitely coming to the right guy. So here's what happened. Like I told you, Michael, I'm a DJ show junkie. And while, some seminars are great, some seminars aren't great, what happened was I would find myself having great lunch conversations with a lot of these people. And we would set up breakfast and different things, just like how we're talking now, the 5 of us, okay? But we do it over a meal at the next DJ show. What happened was Marcello turned 30, and I flew out from Chicago to New Jersey for his 30th birthday party. And while I was there, I did the New Jersey tour. I saw Jerry Syracuse's office, Jeffrey Craig's office, Mike Walter's office, a lot of my jock friends there. And it was in February, cold, and we spent like 4 hours sitting in this Chinese buffet on the last day. And it was actually kind of sad to leave. So I said, you know what, now that I've seen all of your offices, how about if I plan a think tank where we all get together, talk for a couple of days, and, come to Chicago in July. Gorgeous weather, I'll put together a curriculum, and we'll just roundtable. So that was July of 2003, and that's what ended up happening. Now, through a twist of fate, certain people became more popular. Mike Walter started writing for Disc Jockey News, and other people met other people. So Think Tank has no official capacity with anyone. I'm not even a member of Think Tank anymore. My career went in a different way. I saw things differently. So when I stepped down from running it in 2009, Mike Walter took over. Since then, Matt Radatelli's taken over. There's a lot of predominant players in it. And listen, all it is exactly what it is. It's a think tank. They get together once a year in July. Mike Walter wrote an article for Disc Jockey News about it last August, about what it is, and it's probably 45 different business people. They get together in an organized manner. They all pay dues, and they then bring in outside speakers that they essentially co-op it. So they can bring in Michael Cirbelli, or they can bring in somebody influential, and they're essentially pooling their money to try to stay ahead of their local competition. It's all territorially protected so that people can open up very freely and say, I've got a problem here, this was a problem. People will give advice. And so you think of it like a fraternity, but not in a negative way.
Well, that's why I asked, because the reason I heard that is that a lot of people complain that it becomes a very good old boys club, stagnant by the same mentality, and not people who completely disagree with that mentality coming in and giving their side too.
Well, here's the bottom line. Anybody that wants to present needs to approach Ryan and Dan, and anybody that wants to present in Atlantic City needs to approach Brian O'Connor and Jim Tremaine from DJ Time. And anybody that wants to present at Wedding MBA needs to talk to Will and Shannon Haggerty and say, this is who I am, this is what I have to offer. And if the producers say yes, then Michael Joseph, you're on. And if not, then that's that. I was speaking long before I started Think Tank, and I've spoken plenty after. What I found is that shorts are apparently not appropriate on a national stage with a celebrity. But again, I think it's just the haters that don't have my calves. But, whatever. I think that I bring the heat. And, some people think I lost credibility. Others think that I bring the heat every time. And that's fine. I'm not here to say otherwise. But this year, I'll tell you, Marcello is a think tank member. Mike Walter is a think tank member. Mitch Taylor is a think tank member. Jeremy Breck, who's the show audio producer, is a think tank member, or he does the production. Jason Jani is a think tank member. Other people, myself, I used to be. Bill Herman used to be. Peter Mary used to be. George Whitehouse used to be. So there's some people, again, people come and go, and it's like any organization you've ever been a part of, or any baseball team or softball team. People come and go for a variety of reasons. But, I love the concept. I think it's a great concept, and I think there's a lot of great people doing stuff. Some people have positioned it that it's the Billionaire Boys Club, and there's a lot of back padding. And that's the one piece of advice that I will give all speakers that has caught my eye, which is, don't assume that Michael Joseph in the audience knows who you're talking about or knows the inside joke about Bill Herman, because this is Michael Joseph's first convention or second convention. I would reference everyone. The other thing that I see is a lot of, I know that everyone's trying to give back, but sometimes Rob Ferre did this, and I know he's the nicest guy in the world. He made a list of all of the different workshops that he's gone to, and he posted, okay? Mm-hmm. And sometimes that's done too much, okay? And I've been to seminars where it's like, okay, I just paid all this money to come to a convention and paid the fee to be here and traveled for you to now recommend all of these other workshops for me to go to. Like, I'm not here to listen to an infomercial. And I know everyone's trying to be helpful, but at the same point in time, I just want to know what Michael Joseph's specialty is. What are you great at, and what can you teach me? Okay? The fact that John Doe influenced you and Jane Smith is like your coach, and Dan Carpenter is this, you learned all this about marketing, and John Young was your babysitter when you were 6. Like, I get it. We all have these connections, but, focus on, put the blinders on and go, I'm here to teach you about marketing or lighting or sales or mixing or music programming. Everything else isn't relevant. So, and that's that. but I also know other DJs that are offended by the fact that people have products and books for sale. And you know what? If you can teach me everything, if I can teach you in 40 minutes everything I know about marketing, I don't know that much about marketing. Okay? But if I have a DVD that really digs into social media via 2017 or how to exhibit at a bridal show or whatever, that you can take home for $99 or $59 or $200, guess what? Like, it's a good investment. My intention is to pick up Joe Bunn's, it's called Selling the Music, I think.
Yep.
And I haven't seen them, but my intention is to pick it up and grab it, because even if I learn nothing, I'll just see it from a different perspective. Mike Walter's got great stuff out there, and I don't agree with a lot of the stuff that he does, but I appreciate the presentation and I learn from it. And sometimes I confirm that I know I'm doing it right in my market. Doesn't mean Mike's wrong. It just means we're different. 2 and 2 equals 4. So does 1 plus 3. Okay, so we're both getting to 4. It's just a matter of how we choose to do it. Make sense?
Casey, you mentioned earlier, for people who are wanting to speak, MJ had mentioned that there's a lot of think tankers there, and I've heard that perception from a few.
Sure.
One of the reasons why there's so many of those folks who are being chosen or asked to speak at these events is that generally the think tank people have a track record, in some cases have a name within the industry. And as a person who produces shows or has produced shows in the past, that's obviously an appeal, because the people who know Mike Walter or know Marcello or know whoever.
Okay, well, I'm going to cut you off right there. Marcello's never presented at Mobile Beat before.
No, he hasn't. Yeah, he's been at a couple, but not Mobile Beat.
But again, it's his first time speaking here. And again, Marcello has plenty of street credibility as to why. And he's speaking about something in his wheelhouse.
Yeah.
And I thought he did a good job. Critiquing things, again, he's talking about Celebrate Life and he's viewing things from his personal point of view.
Yeah. He's viewing from a 45-year-old man compared to a 25-year-old man.
And he's also speaking from a 45-year-old man that isn't a dietitian, isn't a doctor. I would have thought some of his presentations would have been a little bit stronger if he said, like he talked today about going through the drive-thru at Wendy's. And he was 100% on the money. But a different way of selling it would have been, okay, this cheeseburger from Wendy's is 750 calories, and you have to run a 25-mile marathon to do that. And if you're not going to do that and burn it off, it's going to become your belly. So here's an option, because then it's just facts. And maybe I'm just that guy that likes facts thrown at me, as opposed to, well, John thinks, or Michael thinks, or Tony thinks. And it doesn't make you wrong. We can all look at the same picture and see 3 different things. And it doesn't make any of us wrong. It just means that our perception is different. I'm a big facts and figures guy, because in our industry, we have too many people saying, well, at my company, I do this. Well, are you making $10 million a year? No. And that's the one thing that we don't have in this business right now. We don't have a Michael Jordan. We don't have a Donald Trump pre-politics, but we don't have somebody screaming success at us to a point where we're looking up to him or her in such a way that says, I want to be like that. So we take pieces of people and go, I'd like to be like Jason Jani, but I don't mix that way. Or I'd like to MC like Peter Mary, or I'd like to do lighting like Jeremy Breck does. Like, of course, we want to morph it all together. So again, when you go to these conventions, you meet these people, it's a buffet. I'm going to take this away from Michael, and this away from Dan, and this away from Tony, and this away from John. And that's the cold cut combo that I'm going to make for my meal. That's that.
But I think that's the big difference between having an expo versus having a workshop. When you have the workshop, you're not getting the buffet per se. I mean, you might with the networking aspect of it that might happen around the workshop, but just kind of playing off one of the things that was mentioned in the chat room for those of you that aren't watching, it was, I feel like the seminars are a commercial to get people to spend more money at the workshops before and after. My response to that is, whether it is, whether it's not, you're going to get a better learning experience in a smaller one-on-one session. So whether it's a workshop that's tied to an expo, or whether it's a workshop that's just standalone, you're going to get a different type of quality instruction and technique than you are sitting in a room with 100 other people trying to absorb it all. It's like going to a lecture hall or sitting in a small classroom. Which are you going to get?
Absolutely.
The quality education.
One is like a tutorship or a mentorship versus going to a concert. I mean, wouldn't we all rather see our favorite musician with 30 people around us in a little cool little club versus, 10,000 people? I mean, I'm a Billy Joel freak. I was sitting down in a small bar and I saw him jamming out on the keyboard, I'd flip, and I've seen him in concert 19 times. So, and I appreciate the big lights and the whole thing, but again, it's just, I think it's all subjective, and that's really what it comes down to. I mean, I know there's people that are point blank offended that people are selling books or DVDs here. And my whole thing is, don't buy them. No one's forcing you to buy it. And I can say with the presenters today that have products for sale, nobody left stuff on the shelf saying, and if you like what I'm saying here, pick up my DVD. And if you like what I'm saying here, go to my coaching. And if you like what I'm saying here, take this workshop. Okay? If that was the case, I could see them being offended. But you know what? They're giving you the full meal and then asking you if you want my DVD as dessert or my book as dessert. There were 800 or 900 people there, and only 100 bought Marcello's book. So you're talking about 10, 11% maybe. So again, there's plenty of people choosing not to, and it doesn't make Marcello's book good or bad. It just doesn't interest certain people.
Yeah.
So, I mean, Tony, what do you think? I didn't feel that anybody, didn't bring the secret sauce today.
No, I mean, it's in essence, I mean, it's kind of like a Walmart or a Costco thing. You get exposed to multiple sources of material, and it's your choice of to say, what am I going to take away from this? I haven't been in the business that long, so I'm not familiar with what's going on 10 years ago or even 5 years ago. So for somebody like myself, it's good for me to be able to go into a place like that and be exposed to a variety of material and make an educated decision. Well, what am I going to take away from it? And I appreciate the opportunity that I can have something to take away from it to further myself down the road.
I think that show producers, and John, you can speak to this, it's like producing the Ringling Brothers and Barnum and Bailey Circus. Some people love the elephants. Some people like the acrobats. Some people, you got to put it all together and package it so that people walk away going, that was unbelievable. Or like producing a Lollapalooza or a Lilith Fair or what have you. Like, you're not going to appeal to everybody, but your job is to put together the best consortium of all of that. And that's it. And the Tropicana's done a huge remodel. It's beautiful. Robert Irvine's putting a huge restaurant in the place. I guess there's another tower of rooms that isn't even open yet. So, it's a big change here. It really is a big change. So
I was happy to see some of the material that was, I mean, there are some things that caught my eye that I'm looking forward to this week. Digging a little deeper into. I'm not going to get into all the material. Like I'm probably not going to get too much into the high school dance thing, but I could see a lot of other stuff. And I'm like, I'm going to focus in on that and get me a piece of that this week.
Right. Howard Wallach from Chicago, first-time presenter, speaking on building a successful mitzvah business. I don't know what percentage of the people here are in the mitzvah world. I, as a show producer, I don't know that I would have done it. I would have categorized it as youth events. But again, it's like anything. You roll the dice, you take a shot, and that's it. Thomas Edison holds the most amount of patents for inventions and also has the most amount of failures. So, you just got to keep grinding. And that's that. And I got to give Ryan credit because he's grinding.
And that's really, you mentioned earlier in that trying to appeal to such a doing a little of this, a little of that. And you saw that up at the Canadian DJ show where they were trying to appeal to a club EDM type DJ and the mobile DJ. and catching aspects of it. And as a promoter, that's incredibly difficult. And even in our channels, we struggle with that. Is that there's, we have the DJ industry, and then there's little kind of segments thereof that have really kind of segmentized themselves out of the main world. The things that appeal to a mobile DJ, a mobile wedding DJ, are not the same in the Venn diagram as things that would appeal to a different type of DJ. So it's really difficult.
It's funny you bring that up, because one of the keynotes here is Paul Oakenfold. Okay? One of the biggest club touring DJs in the world. I, as a mobile DJ company owner, have zero interest in attending that. Okay?
Put him in a seminar, see how many show up.
Oh, I guarantee you it'll be packed. I guarantee you there'll be probably 600 of the 800 seats that I saw. They'll be full because people are here. But here's where I feel if I was the producer, I would have done things differently than Ryan. I would have used that to set up a secondary track geared toward club EDM DJs. We're in Vegas. There are so many, Scam Artist is right in LA. I think Jermaine Dupree lives here. I think he's got a residency at Wynn, But if you would have set up a whole track now, and I mean, you've worked with manufacturers, everyone's looking at, okay, I'm spending X amount of dollars to be here. Okay, I'm getting this much of the market. I need this much. And so if he set up a second track around Paul Oakenfold, where he was able to set up a smaller set of rooms or breakout rooms with, this one's about remixing, this is about this, and he was to target market, even via Facebook and social media. He did targeted ads for people who like Winter Music Festival, who like EDM, who like that. I think he could have put another 300-400 people through the door here, okay? And truthfully, I think it would have only told Newmark and Denon and Pioneer, I'm listening, and my goal is to put the most amount of people in the door for you. I'm not saying he did anything wrong. I'm saying if it were me, that's what I would have done. I would have brought in talent bookers from major casinos here and said, this is what we look for in the artists that we bring in.
We a couple weeks ago did a thing on here about the DJ census, and something that I've been saying for years, and I'm finally getting people to realize it through these censuses, is that the mobile DJ market is much smaller than the rest.
The rest of what? The club DJ market?
Well, you understand, for in that other side, you have club DJs, bar DJs, mobile DJs, college DJs. There was a large number. Dan, how many people were on that list that called themselves DJs that had never DJ'd out in public?
Oh, yeah, it was like 20% or something like that.
20% that have never spun out in public, that are all part of this, that would go for that other end, where I think a lot of the seminars are towards an audience where you're going, let's say you have 100 people, all in the DJ world that all read the websites and the magazines and all that, and mobile DJs down here. They make more money. They spend more money on equipment, but they are not the larger number of people. So you have to determine in that point. I can show you the numbers, so it's not even an arguable point. It's a fact by these numbers. Well, if you look at these numbers back on the far end, that you have to make a decision at that point. Do I want to give quality information and have the guys like the JNI and the different people bring really quality high-end information in, or do I just want to go for numbers, flat out numbers, and don't have quality to the numbers? So
but even going back to the original argument about shows learning online, the thing that all show producers are going to have to show their manufacturers is, I'm bringing you sales, period. Because let's be honest, a Pioneer, an American DJ, Chauvet, EV, they're probably spending, what would you guess, John, 30, 40,000 out the door to be at this show?
Easily, if not more, because of getting staff there and all the different nuances. So yeah, you're probably talking 50.
So let's say $50,000, just as a round number. The question being then is, using live video, using a controlled environment to show Michael Joseph demonstrating the latest, greatest, mixing console from Acme Widget, DJ company, for that same $50,000, how many people can they reach even with targeted paid promotion via social media? You know, it was one thing when that didn't exist, but these are the challenges that I think all promoters are going to face in the future. And so they have to create an experience that drives sales. And in Atlantic City, we know people drive in and they buy. Whereas for whatever reason on the West Coast, this show has a little bit more of a national appeal, maybe because it's Vegas, okay, as opposed to Atlantic City. But I don't see as many rock and rollers going out the door loaded with, boxes out of this show. And we've talked about it before. And it has nothing to do with Ryan, or it's no negative toward it. But again, just like everybody, if it don't make dollars, it don't make sense. And your job in the marketing department of any company is to, what is my most effective way of driving my marketing to convert into sales? And maybe DJ shows will be a thing of the past. I hope not. Or maybe they will shift to being a more of an education orientated thing, where instead of a pass being $2.99, it's going to be $4.99. And those that want to come here for education will come here for the business side of it. And I saw Michael twitching his nose there.
You look at the market that DJ Times magazine itself, look at the magazine itself, what it covers in the magazine, topic wise, people and stuff like that. That's what draws people to that expo, because they're targeting towards the larger number of people. And again, it comes down to, it's flat out numbers. It's probably the mobile market. The mobile market of DJs probably takes up about 10% of all DJs. People who
I don't think it's that low.
Dan, you saw the survey.
What
was it?
It was from DJ Digital DJ Tips, their annual census. They send out to all their people.
But who are their people?
Guess what? They're people. It's people. Because I can tell you hundreds of people that do both, and look at the people they have at these expos and go, who is a Jason Jani? He's nobody. He's just a mobile DJ. But yet again, we know he's talented. But what I'm saying is that if they want to really make these things grow, they have to change with the times, and the times are not interested in hearing some middle-aged DJ chat on about how he has a new whatever. It's just not going to happen with this next generation. I'm not saying it's not valuable. I'm just saying it's not going to draw them.
Well, that's possible, but here's the thing: you ask if you go to Winter Music Festival.
Mm-hmm.
No one's going to have heard of Jason Jani.
Which one are you going to? Because there's Winter Music Festival and Miami Music Week, because they're two totally different things.
Okay, pick either one that's club driven. Okay, even with Jason having a club following as well, not large, but he still has a club following. No one will have heard of him. You come to Mobile Beat, 90% of the people will have heard of him. Okay, if we hold a contest in my house with my family and they say, "Who's your favorite DJ?" You're not going to win, Mike. I am. And so, again, not speaking negatively, what would be interesting, I'd be really curious to see, let's say from a Pioneer, how many units, regardless of the size of the mixer, the price points, or that mixer but controller, I'd be curious to see, and I don't think they'd release this, how many controllers are sold in this country per year? Because that gives us an idea of who's purchasing equipment at least, and that will give us an idea of the size. Because again, I've heard the numbers are 60,000 DJs in the United States, 100,000 DJs, from the bedrooms to the clubs to the bars to the whatever. And so who knows? I mean, it's just one of those things. So
I just know when I'm out on the weekend DJing, I probably have at least 5 people every single night I DJ go, I'm a DJ. And then first questions, where do you DJ? Well, nowhere. But there's still people that you have to consider into that market.
Yeah,
I'm not disagreeing with that. But the difference between saying you're a DJ and dropping $1,000 or $700 on the controller is who's serious and who's not.
Yeah, but they still do, and they still DJ, and they're still part of the audience, and they're still part of the people who click on the websites. That's how they drive their thing, by how many clicks they have. You know, I could do a thing tomorrow that I could do a video that has 40,000 hits. And it could mean absolutely, like John and I were talking about that the other day. Some of the biggest number hits videos out there don't have quality video. They're not edited. Sound is terrible, but it's what people want. So, which
right now the world,
which way do you go?
But right now, if you look at Instagram and Facebook Live, people don't want edited. They want to poke behind the curtain. They want to see Britney Spears doing flip-flops and somersaults and acting under tune. But it's true. No one looked at her new latest video. But God, if she does a cartwheel in a friggin' sports bra, like Maxim, Playboy, everyone is like leading, like, ta-da!
Yeah.
So again, the Kardashians, again, with the state of the world, this year I just read O.J. Simpson is eligible for parole in 2017. Okay? Not only that, but apparently the attorneys that are representing him have already publicly announced that there are multiple networks interested in having him be in a reality television program. Now, again, here's the thing. It's like a train wreck. Who's going to turn away?
Mm-hmm.
Everybody wants to take a poke behind the curtain. They want to see what the wizard looks like. And you know what? I don't care about OJ, but I got to tell you, I'd want to see him. I think watching him reacclimate himself into the United States would be fascinating, especially because they're saying he's got like a $23 million pension from the NFL. Okay. And again, he was still acquitted of all charges with regard to, his wife. So again, it would be really interesting to see, and I think somewhat depressing too, because I think that when you see him, he's going to be turned away at a lot of public venues and a lot of places. I mean, the Kardashians are famous because their father defended him. And Kim Kardashian made $56 million last year. I mean, so again, but going back to, the DJ end of it, I think that I think I still like the shows. But again, I admit that I'm 20-something. Now, my nephew is 16, and I believe John's even met my nephew. And he told me this week he wants to go to school for radio broadcasting, which shocked me as a possible college career, which I think is great. He's got a mobile DJ setup that he legitimately earned, washing buckets, working in my floral department, and everything else. So Uncle Keith didn't buy it for him. But I got him the best deals, and the fact of the matter is he's got Pioneer controller, Shure SM58 wireless, JBL Eon 615s, ultimate support tripods, all black cables, in a Reba cable bag, black tablecloth for his table so that it's neat and clean. So he's part of that generation, and you know what? I showed him how to mix, but he really picked up most of how to work the Pioneer controllers by watching YouTube videos.
Yeah.
I mean, so I get it, but at the same point in time, he was so mad that high school started a week earlier this year, the DJ Times shifted it, that he couldn't go with the DJ Times. So again, I think that the shows just have to continually keep being progressively moving forward. If I were a show promoter in Vegas, I would do nothing here, okay? Except maybe get access to nightclubs, because the entertainment value in Vegas is crazy. I mean, it's amazing. At the same point in time, I don't know about Atlantic City, but even being a former DJ of the Year competition winner, I personally think those days are over.
I don't know if you knew, I started a petition last year to get them to change that name.
Oh, it should be MC of the Year or Entertainer of the Year.
I thought Mobile Entertainer of the Year maybe might be.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
But your petition went as far as, a lot
No,
of
I was told by someone on the inside to drop it. That's what it was. It had nothing to do with anything. Because trust me, I had so many people emailing me and talking to me going, finally someone says this, we hate this thing, it's the stupidest thing in the world, why don't they change it or break it? But I was told on the inside, and I since I work for John, I don't want to disrupt things, to drop it, so I dropped it. That was all.
Yeah. Well, you know what? Again, everything runs its course. And in the 90s, being interactive, it was fun, man. I like
They should do it like the b-boy competitions, where you have to do an element of DJing, an element of emceeing, an element of games, and an element of dancing.
Yeah, I have no problem with that, but here's the thing. I can tell you, like, from when I first started coming to shows, my goal or dream was to be the guy on stage, okay? Not because of ego, but it was just, I wanted to be good enough as a DJ or as a business owner to be able to be eligible to give back, to share, okay? And I'm sure there's plenty of people that go, he's full of crap, or he doesn't know anything, and others that go, you know, he shares a lot, and he's a good dude. I just wanted to be worthy of it. And then I was fortunate enough that through meeting the right people, people suggested me for speaking. And that was that. And in my case with John, quite honestly, we were flying on the same plane to Atlantic City, and we really started talking. And he asked me, you know, would you ever want to write again? And I've been writing for you for what, 2 years now? 2.5 years?
Yep.
And I'm on page 6. I'm not buried in the back anymore. But somebody died. So what happened? Nobody submitted articles, and I'm on page 6.
Yeah, that's what happened. I got moved back.
Yeah,
I was on page 6 with Ron, and then all of a sudden now I'm like, I don't know, 16, 17.
I got page 9 last month, and I felt good about that.
Last month, I wrote an article about Mike Walter. So he obviously said, John, it's time to move case to the front. I mean, let's be honest.
I'm writing an article about John. That's my next one. I'm writing an article.
He'll move you back if you don't write another one about Mike.
I know. So, you know, I write one about Jason Chanai, but according to Michael Joseph, nobody knows who he is, so nobody would care.
No, and a different audience.
Yeah, I was going to say, in our audience, they would.
Yeah, it's totally different. Yeah. But I'll write one about John, see how close I get to the front page.
There you go.
Okay. There you go.
Guys, we need to.
Mike is the editor, so she can bury you in the back.
Gentlemen, we need to wrap things up. It's after 11 o'clock Eastern. Casey, Tony, thank you guys for joining from Las Vegas. So now it's 8 o'clock out there. You guys still have half the night to go.
We got the big party to go to in an hour.
Oh.
Yeah, in fact, for those of you watching, American DJ Association has got, you can go to the ADJ Facebook page. All you have to do is pull up the JPEG, and I think it starts at 11, and there's 1 hour open bar. At
2 hours.
Club, free entry. What, wow. 2 hours? Okay,
yeah, it's from 11 to 1 at the Marquee.
Wow.
Yeah.
I wouldn't make it till 12:30.
So that's the big thing. And then
it's kind of the unofficial after party. It's not the official after party.
Oh.
Because the TV takeover runs until 1 a.m. as well. But a lot of people, I think, would prefer to go to Marquee as opposed to the
Havana room at the Tropicana.
Yeah, because that was last year.
Go ahead.
Yeah, last year the Havana room. I mean, it was a nice enough area, but it's like there's only a few tables and people sat down, and then you've got a pool right there. So it's like we were around a pool, and it's like, I didn't.
There was a lot of people spending. And then tomorrow morning, for anybody watching, I don't know why anyone would be watching this here other than Tony and I, 8 o'clock in the morning, American DJ Association national meeting. We've got a pretty cool announcement to make about our involvement with Wedding MBA. So I'm hoping that you guys will pull your butts out of bed. Maybe we'll try to go Facebook Live.
There you go. Use technology, Casey.
And
Scott Faber will be doing his thing there.
Yeah, that's
Scott Faber, and as the guy who won the last Peter Mary Award, someone new is going to be awarded, and I get to do that, hand that out. I hope they give me the right envelope. I want to be land of
Steve
DJ.
will be there.
The Michael Butler Award is being given out, and then the chapter of the year. So, and for those that aren't ADJA members, you'll be able to see what's happening with ADJA, and Scott Faber never disappoints with energy and enthusiasm.
And he's got a new hairdo too, so you guys can get to check that out if you're there.
A little shorter.
We got to remind people to go visit Shaney at the Bose thing too.
Oh yeah. That's right, Shane.
You know what else? Do you know Scott Faber's a twin? Totally random. He
Get
has
out.
an exact twin brother.
No way.
There are two people spinning. It's crazy. When he came to Chicago to speak to our ADJ chapter, I thought he was kidding. Like it was like an alter ego. He's a twin. I told him he needs to go to like ADJA, or I should say ADJA, but Mobile Beat, and almost do, because nobody knows about his brother.
No, I didn't.
It's the same suit. You walk off the left side of the stage, and then his brother walks right back on, and just
In the purple suit.
that guy's talented.
He's
Holy cow!
Oh,
So I think it's just mess with the audience.
no, that would be fun, and he would do it too.
I know he would. So
All right, thank
thanks for
you.
having me on, John.
Yeah, thanks guys for being on. Thank you guys for watching. We will be back tomorrow night. We've got our Ben Stowe coming on at 9 o'clock Eastern, so we will catch you then. Good night, everyone.
Thanks.
Right.